Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Jon Foote with us today. Jon is the founder and CEO at Flocked and Reportable. So we're going to talk about culture, Power BI, business intelligence, everything between. This pod is brought to you by my company. It's called podpire.com. If you want to start or scale a podcast, you can go to podpire.com and we will take care of that, have you get some nice money while you do what you love, which is interviewing people, getting smarter, and growing your network on a daily basis. Jon, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Cool. Thank you for having me. Founder CEO of Flock Consulting and Reportable. So both data and analytics companies. I've been in the data and analytics game for, I think, going on 18 years now. Done a lot of consulting and working for big consultancies around data analytics for large businesses and government and things like that. Just over 5 years ago now, I was working for an organization and basically thought that the culture was toxic and wasn't really enjoying, the work that I was doing, or the way it was sort of being done, and decided that I was going to stop complaining about the culture and actually go and do something about it. And so started Flock Consulting. So Flock Consulting is a consultancy company. So we do, we sort of do data and analytics, both data architecture and data platforms, and also the reporting side of things. And one of the other things I had a vision around was developing reporting solutions for smaller businesses, because what I saw was, like all the large businesses could afford to spend the money that required to build a data platform and build the reporting solutions, but from a productivity perspective or an effectiveness and a performance perspective, a lot of these small to medium-sized organizations just couldn't do it. So I had this dream of building a platform that could be scalable, in the software as a service kind of space. Technically, I call it a data platform as a service, which is Reportable. And so that's a scalable solution that has taken quite some effort from a software perspective to get up and running, but it's pretty good now, and it's delivering sort of financial and performance metrics to small businesses.
Right. And what problems do business owners face in terms of data? Maybe we can start with why data is important, and then the organization part could be fun to talk about too.
Yeah, so like from a data perspective, just like larger organizations, the ability to make good decisions is the key thing, right? We always talk about making good decisions, and a lot of small businesses will make decisions based on the feel of what they think is going on. And quite often, really small businesses, that's all right, right? So sort of a 1 or 2 man business or person business can make a decision based on what they already know. But as soon as you get beyond, a series of, number of clients or a number of employees or a number of products, then you actually can't have your finger on the pulse from a gut feel perspective or an intuition perspective. And so data and reporting really becomes important to make good decisions, good strategic decisions, or data informed decisions to help the performance of the business or whatever they want to analyze and have information on. But yeah, it's really, that's the key thing, is that ability to make a data informed decision. And it's not only based on the data, their intuition and their knowledge and their skill comes into it, but it definitely can be more accurate when it's supported by good data.
Right. Because it seems that there's the gut level, which is all the data points that you have, but sometimes I find that just getting the data right in front of you helps you build other ideas in business, which you can implement. And then it's like this magical loop. And if you don't stop to analyze in different perspectives and timeframes, you won't get as much, especially if you want to scale. If you want to stay small, you can keep viewing things with the same mindset, but at some level, you need to check out the cold hard stats and try to grow out of that shell. So is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I think for me, the way that I describe it these days is, a lot of reporting has been, it's simple to get right. It's like their financial reporting. So they know what revenue they're doing, they know their top line expenses, they know all that sort of information. but I always ask the question, what are the levers in the business? So typically the levers are the ones that we struggle to really analyze. And the levers are being, those things that if you know the number, you can automatically react to it. So for a really simple example is like a call center, right? So a call center doing outbound calls, if you analyze the numbers based on number of calls to conversion to sales, and you can really understand those things. The lever is the number of calls, the number of outbound calls, right? So if you understand when we do 100 calls, we get 50 leads and we get 5 sales, and you've only done 50 calls, then you've got a lever there where you can either increase the sales, you can increase the quality, increase the calls, increase the quality of the call, all those sorts of information. Typically, we're just looking at what's the outcome measure, which is sales, revenue, number of sales, whatever, but actually pull it back to the point where it's like, let's understand the levers, let's understand what we can go and make a decision and change it in action in the business that will then have all those flow-on effects and to produce a better result.
So what pieces of data do you check for your business? Can you share your screen and show us some data, at least to see what a nice dashboard looks like? Because I don't even have a dashboard on. Well, I do have a dashboard in my cold emailing app on Apollo. Like if I can show the audience here, but I was telling you the other day, even that is not ideal. For example, if I go home here, like first I need to set some goals when it comes to meetings. I haven't connected them, which is like probably a platform when it comes to BI. Then I have like how much emails I sent, my delivered rate, my open rate is falling. But then my main dashboard is probably like all the latest campaigns that I launched here. If I check like the created date, that's pretty much it. I have my square here. So like the transactions that are coming in. But yeah, I could probably use like better data, like how much cash did we generate today, how much emails, how much clicks, how much traffic. Then I have my LinkedIn BI. So well, BI is a big word, but like if I go here and I go in analytics, that might be relevant just to see like my post impressions, who's checking my content. It's a bit widespread as well. First, what are your thoughts on that? And what data should I be looking at as a one-man business managing a bunch of AIs?
Yeah, so I guess again, it's like, what are the activities that you do on a daily basis to move the needle?
Yeah,
So
it's
what?
like cold email and launching new campaigns, getting new ideas. I have my to-do list also, which I haven't shown you. It's quite chaotic, but that's important, like in priority.
Yeah, and to-do lists, it's interesting, from a business perspective, people talk about to-do lists and don't have them, do have them. I mean, I have to-do lists and then I structure my diary to get things done and all that sort of stuff. But from a reporting perspective, there's probably two components to it. I was just quickly brought up Reportable itself. Our demo data is funky, but it's probably got enough that I can show you. I'll share my screen so you can see. So, so there's probably a couple of components here that are really important around, that's the right screen, yeah. So a couple of components that are really key for me is actually layout is the first one. So this is a web-based application. So we design it as such. And so in this case here, what we've got is different applications that are connected for reporting. What are the report pages that we've got? And then we've got filters. And so the actual layout of that is based around websites, but the layout of the reporting is based on how we consume information. So if we're building a report like this, then we're saying, all right, what is the way that we consume information? Most people in the Western world, we read from the top left of a page to the bottom right. And so we need to convey the information that way. And so what we do is we have the title of the page is at the top. The KPIs are all at the top. The most important one is in the top left-hand corner. And then we go down, and as we go down the page, we go down and we get more and more detail as we go. So what we've got at the top here is high-level information. We get more information here, so I can see revenue. I can see what revenue is doing over time. I can analyze that revenue. And then if I really want to get down into the detail, then I can. But it's down the page because in the order of how I consume information, that's how. So that's one of the key things, is that important around that. In this case, we're looking at for actionable information, and so this is not going to work because I've got demo data, typical when you're doing a demo. Well, here we go, outstanding invoices. Let's hope that one works. So again, this is an actionable item for a business is like, okay, what are my outstanding invoices? I can go and I can say here. And so in this case here, we've got the ability to interact. So down here, I can say in July, there's $236. I can click on that, everything else filters, and then I can scroll down and I can see exactly what those two invoices are, who they're for, and I can go and chase them. And so that's a lever that can move the needle, is specifically chasing outstanding invoices, and that improves cash flow. That improves, what's in the bank, which is great.
Right. So sales, then probably like operations and who are you retaining as clients depends on your business, but do you recommend having eyes on that like every hour of the day when you start and finish your day? When's the right time at looking at your stats?
I think it depends. I think whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, probably depends on the cycle, right? So, in our consulting practice, in Flock Consulting, we're billing monthly. They've got 20 days to pay. I'm not going to look at that on a daily basis. I'm going to have a period where I say, okay, so the due date was this date. Okay, a week later, who still owes us money? Right, let's send them information. And when I've readily got that information, I'll see if I can flip over to Xero. So this is the accounting side of things. So I think it's relative, right? Whereas if you've got high volume transactions and people are coming in and you're expecting them to pay within the day or on the day or whatever, if someone's walked out and they haven't paid on the day, then maybe that needs to be chased more quickly. So this is a financial one. So here, if we've got accounts receivable, then you might be looking at this on a monthly basis and saying, oh, so who have we got that's 90 days? This person here's 90 days. Well, you're probably really going to hit them hard, right? So you're gonna try and get that sorted, and then you might look at the next ones down, which are 61 to 90 days, things like that. And I think that, so yeah, it depends, I guess, is the right answer for that. But again, it's like really having at your fingertips the ability to make those levers and understand those little things that actually have big ramifications later on for the business.
Right. And then what could be fun? Well, there's probably like automations, like if this stats goes under there, then send an email. But what could be potentially fun too is to have automatons or agents that if this stats fall under this, then take this sales action, for example, or call this person. What are the next steps once you have the pure data? Can you have bots act upon this data and create meaningful impact in your business?
So we have a client actually that, and we do this a bit, but we have a client that we've just recently finished a major project for around survey collection. So what we've done is every time that they have a new customer, or that customer does something different within their business, then automatically, once that data hits the data warehouse, we're picking up that that's a new customer, or that customer's done something different, and automatically sending out emails for them to go and complete a survey. So things like NPS, a range of different ones, different types of surveys based on what's happened. And so that is quite key actually, because then they removed all the manual. So they used to send emails, a person sitting there punching out emails, so they fully removed all of that and automated the whole piece. Things like Power BI now, you can create thresholds. So if you've got, you can create KPIs with alert thresholds. So for example, let's say, I'm just trying to think of an example. If you've got some sort of measure that if it goes over a certain value or it goes under a certain value, you can actually train it so that it's constantly looking at that. And as soon as you go over or under that threshold, it sends you an email. And so in the reporting space, typically what we see is people build dashboards and they build reports and they get what's called report fatigue, right? First week, it's great. I can see the information. Second week, I'll go in a little bit less. And then after about 4 or 5, 6 weeks, something, they're hardly ever going to see it. So in the case of those sorts of things, then reports shouldn't necessarily be built to opened. They should be built to automatically send information. So for me, every single day I get an email from my report to tell me How much work did the team do the day before? What was our utilization? What work did we do? All those sorts of things. So I don't actually have to open the report unless I see something that needs investigation, and then I can go in and it's ready for me. But I'm getting the information sent to me automatically without having to actually go in and open the report to find out that there's nothing really to look at.
Right. What are your top goals for this week as a business owner of a SaaS and an agency, quote unquote? Like, where do you split your time?
So I'm probably, it'd be close to 50-50 now for me working within that consulting practice and working on the software. So I'm really lucky that I've got two really good teams actually that work quite closely, and so my teams do a lot of the work. So which is, I guess, where I want to be. And so typically I'm working in the consulting practice around sort of like the concept of thought leadership and working at a higher level around, with a customer. It's if they've got something really unique or interesting that they need to be done, then I'll get involved. And in the software space, it's very much strategically around what do we need to be focusing on, what's the important things for us to be doing, having those conversations with the team, just tracking things if there's any issues, if there's any errors, if there's any alerts or anything going on. But then I'm still in the reporting space. So I'm a data visualization guy. So I've been in data visualization. So I'm still building the reporting for the software. And eventually I'll sort of slowly eke out of that as well. But it's interesting because I was, they talk about in startup world, they talk about technicians going into sort of the management space, and I'm definitely an old technician that's moved up into the role of CEO. So I've had a lot of things to learn on what it means to be a CEO and what it means to actually get out of doing this stuff and actually then looking at the strategy and overseeing it and developing the team and working on the culture and all those sorts of things. So it's been a big shift for me over the last 5 years.
On a personal level, how do you make sure to take care of yourself so that you're fully into the business when you're there and that your output it is maximized?
For the first 5 years, so literally up until just before Christmas that we just had, I to be honest, I wasn't great at it. I was just so focused on making sure that I got the business to a point where the systems and processes and structures and everything were in place. And I went through some interesting times. So I had a business partner that broke down. So he left the business and I took over the business again solely. So then it just was a whole 12 months of just like real full on, like trying to save the business in some ways and trying to keep it ticking over. And then I took on another business partner 12 months ago, which has worked out really, really well. And so that's changed the dynamics as well. It's taken a whole bunch of my work away from me so that I can focus more on what I should be. And I really hadn't taken a lot of holidays or a lot of breaks. And so this Christmas, I actually took a really solid break, and I really learned a lesson that how good taking time off is, and to refresh and recover and all those sorts of things. Um, so I think that's one of my work-ons this year, is to make sure that things like going to work is at work, but when I come home and I'm spending time with my family, really hard to shut the brain off. But one of my focuses this year actually try to take more time out and try to focus on the family or what I'm doing at the time rather than just constantly thinking about work.
Right. So when you're off work, fully be there with your family, spending less time in the business, being more impactful when you're in the business. So what does that look like from a calendar perspective?
I think it's mostly work hours, right? So I go into the office, I'm there and I'm present with the team, and I'm there and present with the business. There's still some evening stuff, so that, because quite often when I'm when I'm in the office and I'm with the team, there's a lot of times where I'm needed to be available for them. I'm supporting the team, I'm supporting with the strategy, the thinking, all that sort of stuff, and helping. So often in the evenings and the weekends, I'll put some time aside to get stuff that I need to do, right. but probably this year it'll be more about actually shutting the computer and taking the time out to not work.
There you go. Some long walks, and
Yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
time chilling.
Back to the gym. I need to. We just went on a cruise, and my wife coined it buffet belly. So so to be back to the gym this year, and I think when I was going to the gym sort of a couple of years ago, that helped my mental state. You know, it was like having that exercise, having that time where you're so focused on doing the exercise and working out that you're not thinking about work. You know, you're and not only that, you're doing good things for your body too, because you're exercising, you're anaerobic side of things. It's a good thing, I think. So I'll be back in there once I'm fully back into my routine.
Right. Sometimes to take care of yourself, you need to put the pressure on, you know. Sometimes that's how we get the growth necessary to actually sustain ourselves and the workloads. But yeah, I can definitely relate to all of that. Here we've been taking some more time off with the dogs, you know, go and walk them in the mountains and go at the restaurants like once a week and just relax, just me and my wife, you know, and relaxing, talking, watching Netflix even, you know. But again, you can overtip that, so always be careful with Netflix. Me personally, I subscribe once a quarter and then I unsubscribe because after some time you're just serotonin searching, right? Good pod today, John. Where can people find out more about you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, so people can search me, Jon Foote, Jon, Jon Foote, on LinkedIn. That's pretty much where I hang out, and I tend to be relatively active on there. And then our website, flockconsulting.co.nz and reportable.io.